Well, good afternoon and welcome to the Veterans Forum. Today is the 17th of November, 2015. The studio is coming to you, the program's coming to you from the studio here in Derry, New Hampshire, in the community television. I'm the host and producer, and thank goodness the benefactor of a lot of help here. My name is Bob Stevens. Before I start the real program, though, there's something I would like to share with you that I think is most important to each and every guy and gal who served at least a minimum of 6 months honorable service and had an honorable discharge. The number here in this state, it's a special telephone system, 211. If you have any kind of a problem or your friends may think you need some help, don't be bashful. But dial that number, 211, and it'll set you up with a cadre of all kinds of people and facilities to help you get the answers or the questions you need. Now, this program is open to any and all veterans, male and female, who served in any war from World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Desert Storm, Desert Shield, and all the other things we have had in between. I'm not belittling them, but sometimes identifying the war has become a problem. Today I'm going to ask Don to introduce himself, and then we'll get the show on the road. What you saw at the opening there was he, as he got through officers candidate school back a few years ago. Don, if you will, we welcome you and ask, give us your name, spell your last name for the camera, your rate, rank, and dates of service, where you now live.
Don McCullough. My last name is MC, capital Culloughh. I was born and raised in Chelsea, Massachusetts, and I lived there for a good part of my life. My wife was from...
Whoa, you're jumping about 30 years right off the bat. What's your rank and your dates of service? Yeah. So we can see what you are now.
Yes, okay. I went into the Navy and after I graduated college in 1956, and in December of '56, I got commissioned an ensign from OCS in Newport, Rhode Island.
Okay.
And I went from there to Mine Warfare School.
Well, again, you're jumping.
Okay.
What's your last service date? End of service date.
Oh, the end of service date was December of 1959.
Okay.
I left as a lieutenant junior grade.
Amen. Okay, now, now we know who you are.
Okay.
I want to go back and find out how you got here. For example,
all right.
Where and when were you born? How was life when you first grew up? Any family in the service? How were your brothers and sisters? What did you do in junior, high school, college, whatever?
Okay.
To help develop, like, remember that old show, This Is Your Life?
This is your life. Yeah.
Tell us about it.
Okay. I was born October 29th, 1934, at the Chelsea Memorial Hospital. And I had an older brother. I have an older brother, Jack. He's 4.5 years older than me. We went through the same school systems together. We went to St. Rose and Chelsea, and we both graduated from Malden Catholic High School. And then I went on to college. He went into the Seabees during the Korean War.
Good man.
I went on to Boston College and...
Now, whoa, back up.
Yeah.
I'm nosy.
Yeah.
What kind of a life did you have growing up back?
Oh, we had a great
during
life.
The Depression, it wasn't exactly roses.
No, we had a good life. We had a good... I lived in a nice neighborhood. I had a lot of friends.
What'd your dad do? What kind of work did he do?
My father was a bricklayer.
Okay.
And my mother a housewife, as I always refer to her, although I don't think she ever married the house. She was a good woman, as my father was a great man. My father was a bricklayer, as they say. Growing up, he used to do a lot of boxing. He was a tough guy, but he wouldn't say, you know what, if he had a mouthful.
No?
He absolutely couldn't tolerate anybody using bad language.
And he beat the hell out of what they did.
Yeah, he really would. He really would. So my brother and I never swore growing up. We didn't dare.
Now, talk about that. In school, were you in any sports, any activities, any clubs or athletics?
Yeah, when I was, I played a lot of basketball and football in junior high and in high school at Malden Catholic. I was a co-captain of the basketball team when I was a senior in 1952 of Moreland Catholic High School. And then when I went on to BC, I didn't pursue that. I played basketball, but I played for the Boston Park League. I played for a team called the South Boston Lithuanian Club.
Oh,
There was one Lithuanian. There was one Lithuanian on the team. Yeah. Dick
he
Lucas.
was the token Irishman.
I was no. All of us were Irish.
I
except
figured that.
Except for him. So.
What branch? Why did you enlist, or were you feel of being drafted, or how you come into the Navy?
No, I always. Well, I had during World War II, I had cousins that all seemed to be in the Navy, one sort of another. There was Seabees, there was a naval pilot, gunner's mates, and so forth. But I always liked the Navy, and so when it became my turn, I joined the Navy, and I went down to Newport, as they say.
Okay. But at what age?
I was just out of high school. I was 17. No, I'm sorry, out of college. I was 20.
Okay. That's
I was 20. I was 21
Okay.
when I went in. Yeah, and
What prompted the?
well, it was that. It was the thing to do.
Okay. Now
There was a draft at the time.
Yeah, that's it. Okay.
But when I was in, the Korean War was going on, and when I was in college, and when I got out of college, I felt that I had an obligation to go in because of the fact that even though I didn't have to go at that point, when I was in college, there was fellows my age going to Korea. Some of them never came home.
Came back.
Some were friends of mine. And so as I say, I felt I had an obligation of some sort. So I joined the Navy, went to OCS, Officer Candidate School at Newport.
At Newport.
And
now, stop right there.
yeah.
This is a kind of a standard, but what was your reaction when you went from civilian to Navy, as far as the change in your attitude and what you could and couldn't do, and how your first couple of days of getting adjusted is?
It was tough. It was tough when I first went in.
Everybody has a little different take.
Yeah, when I first went in, it was tough because I couldn't do whatever I wanted to when I wanted to do it.
Yeah.
I had to go to bed at a certain time. I had to rise at a certain time. I had to eat meals at a certain time. It was so regimented that it was quite a difference. But I got used to it, and I got to enjoy it. And of course, I was single at the time, and I made a Mediterranean cruise, which was enjoyable. I got to a lot of different countries. Some I liked very much. Some I didn't care much at all.
Yeah.
Depended on how they treated us in general,
No, I'm going to go again. I got to keep going back
Okay.
with you.
Yeah.
While you were still a plebe, if you will, coming in, what did you or did you not have as far as the specific training, or when did you select what branch or branches you're going to be in and how you could qualify for it? So we get some idea what you had to do.
The Navy was something that, as I said, it always interested me because most of the people in my family that were service people were Navy people.
Okay.
And my father was never, God, good one, was never in. He got drafted in World War I, and when he got down to wherever it was he had to report to, the war was over.
Good for
so
him.
they sent him home.
Yeah. Hey,
So
didn't need him.
he said, fine. So he came home, and he was a great guy, though, my father. He was a wonderful man.
Now, in OCS, were there any specific challenges that you had, even though you're a college graduate, something new and different that you had to do? Tell us about that.
At OCS, it was probably the most strenuous time I ever had in my life. We had 6 subjects, and we had homework every single night
In each
the
subject?
in the 6 subjects, and we only had 3 hours to do it in. And if we didn't do it in 3 hours, too bad, the lights went out.
Yeah.
We could request late lights, which gave us an extra half hour, and I did every night because I just couldn't keep up with it. And it was tough. It was extremely tough. And
was there a dropout rate in your class? Say you 100 started, how many got through? Or whatever the number is.
Well, I can remember the first day we all got together when they welcomed us into Newport. They said, look to your right and look to your left. One of you will not be here when you graduate. Okay, I hope it's not me.
Yeah.
But we probably lost a third of the class or more. There was a lot of dropouts. It was tough. It was...
well, did they drop out or were they washed out? There's a big difference.
Yeah, no, most of them were washed out. And if they were washed out early in the training, they were sent down to Bainbridge, Maryland, to boot camp.
Mm-hmm.
If they left after the halfway mark, they went to the fleet in some capacity as a seaman.
Oh, they were not commissioned then, no. Okay.
No, they were not commissioned. They went in as a seaman, and whenever they got to the ship, they'd put them in the category that they fit into best, you know. But, I was fortunate enough to make it through. I don't know how.
But you did it.
But I did it.
Okay.
And
on graduation, where were you stationed? What options did you have? Who was your planner?
We had to give an idea of what we wanted to do. For example, I put down I wanted a small combatant ship as opposed to a large ship like a battleship or a cruiser. A small combatant ship somewhere in the East Coast, preferably Boston or Newport.
Oh, it sounds like the Swan Boat Public Garden.
Yeah, that would have been perfect.
Perfect.
Yes. Well, I got a small combatant, and it was the East Coast. It was a minesweeper out of Charleston, South Carolina.
Oh, was that the wooden ship?
The wooden ship.
Yeah. Tell them about that and why.
They sent me to Yorktown, Virginia, to Mine Warfare School. And then while we were there was a minesweeper that we went aboard, and we got to kind of practice with it.
What did you practice doing? That's the easy we want to find out.
Going down the river and turning, making a turn, and trying not to hit anything else, and following a course. They give you a course to steer, and we did that.
Oh, did you have the con?
Yes.
All right.
And then that was, and this, I can still remember back, it was rather overwhelming almost.
Yeah.
You know, suddenly here I was.
Space kid in charge.
Just getting my sea legs, and I'm in charge of the ship.
Yeah.
And if anything happened, it would be my fault. So it was kind of a rude awakening at times, you know.
But that was just. But how does that tie into a mine sweeping or preparation for mine sweeping? Were there spots that you had to avoid or go to?
Well, what we did was we didn't practice in any live minefields.
Okay.
Although that was a thought at one point. But we'd go out and a ship would go out ahead of us and lay mines in different places.
Okay.
We would go out and stream different kinds of, there'd be a gear you'd stream for contact mines, magnetic mines, acoustic mines, and this and that, you know.
You explained the different kinds, so cause a lot of us have no idea what you're talking about.
Right.
This is your chance to tell us.
Yes.
The acoustic mines.
Acoustic mine works from the sound of the ship going overhead. They have an acoustic mine. They might have it set for the fifth ship over. It would explode.
How do they set it? So that it,
there was a
kind of a timing
gauge,
device?
yeah, within the mine itself.
Oh.
They could do that with an acoustic mine or a magnetic mine. The magnetic mine would be from the magnetic signature of the ship. So, of course, I was on a wooden ship, so there wasn't much of a
Thank
magnetic
God.
signature. We used to stream a, I don't know what you'd call it. It was like a boom box, really.
All right.
And, well, the boom box was for the acoustic, set off the acoustic mine. We also had a magnetic tail that would stream off to the back, and they'd send a magnetic signature to that tail, and that would set off a magnetic mine.
Okay.
But again, the mine itself would be, you never know when it was going to go. It would be the first ship to pass over, the fifth ship, or the sixth ship, or
no.
whenever.
By same pass out. These are set then below the surface. How
Right.
deep? Any particular depth?
No, some of the contact mines would be on an anchor. The anchor would be down low, but the contact mine would be visible.
Okay.
You could see the mine.
The
You could see
horns?
the chemical horns. And the thing was, if you broke that horn,
Beep, beep.
it set off a chemical reaction which would detonate the mine. And it was kind of interesting. You know, it was different. And once you, we had a how would I describe it? It was like two wires going out each side of the ship, astern, and you'd grab alongside the contact mine, and you'd hit the chain that held it, and it would come along, and you'd have a cutter in the mine. It would be just like that, and the chain would go into that, and it would fire like a gun, and clamp it over and cut the chain. The mine would then completely pop to the surface,
And you shoot them?
and we'd have to shoot it with a deck gun. We had a 40 millimeter hand operated.
Oh, yeah.
That was our only weapon other than small arms.
No other, like a 3-inch,
Nothing.
4-inch
Nothing.
gun?
No.
And were there one forward and one aft on stop?
Just one
Just
on
it.
the bow.
Okay.
And it was, again, manually operated. We had two men, a pointer,
A pointer and a setter, yeah.
and then it was rather tough when you were walking like this,
know.
and you were trying to find a mine somewhere, you know. But fortunately for me, I never had to do it in wartime. So, but it was an experience.
Amen.
And then I spent about close to 2 years on the minesweeper, and then I went to a destroyer tender.
Where was your area of duty? The whole Atlantic or a certain area, or overseas in the Mediterranean? Where?
No, it was in the minesweeper. As I say, we were home ported in Charleston, South Carolina, and we used to go in and out of there either daily or sometimes on a weekly basis. We used to go to the Cooper River, out to Pat Fort Sumter every day, and back in, and then we did make a Mediterranean cruise. It took us on the minesweeper. It took us almost 17 days to get there.
Was it roll?
Well, we were traveling. There was 4 minesweepers. We were traveling with an LST, and if we went too fast, the LST started banging at the flat bottom,
Yeah,
of course,
I know.
and they were afraid it would buckle the plate, so they kept slowing down. We kept slowing down, and of course, the wooden ship was tough to maneuver if it was going too slow. So we had a tough time.
Yeah, that was kind of a special convoy then.
Yeah, it was. It was kind of difficult to do.
No
it.
DEs or anything going out around, just kind of
No.
keeping the area clear?
No, when we went, well, it was peacetime, as they say.
Okay, but even so,
yeah,
you never know who's going to pop you.
we didn't. Once in a while, we would go when we get overseas. As an example, we were in Italy and we went on maneuvers with an Italian division of minesweepers, and they had 4 in their division. We had 4, and they'd be intertwined, and that was rather interesting.
In the language problem?
The
or
language,
just,
Jesus, they're screaming and yelling and hollering. Oh my God, it was funny, and.
But how did you, now, when you guys got through, if you will, doing their sweep, and you get in the port at night, you get together and have a
Oh,
good
yes.
time?
Yeah.
How do you meet each other?
We'd get together and we'd go aboard each other's ship.
Mhm.
And I don't know how well-known fact this is, but the United States Navy is the only Navy in the world that doesn't have liquor aboard for consumption. And we had it aboard for an emergency.
Medicinal purposes, yeah.
But when you went aboard like a British ship or an Italian ship, before you did anything, come down to the wardroom and we'll have a drink. So, okay, we'll get down. The British ship was an interesting example. We went down, and they said, have a drink with us. I said, okay. So they'd open a bottle, pour a drink, pour him a drink, pour him a drink. Okay, to the Queen.
Yay.
Fine, to the Queen. And down it goes.
And then the
A
king.
little while later, no, care for another drink? Well, okay, I'll have one more. So they open a new bottle. I said, wait a minute. What happened to the bottle we just had? No, we open a new bottle because you toast the Queen, the drink is on the Queen.
Must have been a Scottish ship.
Otherwise, it comes out of their liquor allowance.
Oh.
And they had a liquor allowance.
Oh, yeah.
The British and
They didn't every guy have a pop of grog every day or every other week or something like that?
well, they used to have. As a matter of fact, there was a signal that sent up on the mast.
Okay.
Splice
Off
the main
bottom?
brace.
Yeah, aye.
Splice the main brace means it's time to have a pop.
Mm-hmm.
It would be in the old days it was rum, and these days it was anything, whatever they had, whatever they served. But again, we were the only ones that served nothing.
Yeah. We freeloaded around the world.
We freeloaded from everybody. Yeah.
Any one or two outstanding things, good or bad, that happened while you guys, because everything couldn't have been smooth and happy.
No. We had something. We hit a storm one time in, I can remember off the coast of Spain, and we were streaming our gear at the time, and they became interlocked.
Oh,
And two of the ships came together and barely touched each other, but stove in the whole side of one of the ships. So they had to go to Gibraltar for
ship
for
repair.
repairs. Yeah. So it was nobody got hurt or killed, thank God. But it was interesting. Yeah. And we were in Athens, or actually in Piraeus, Greece. Went into Athens, and there was a wine festival. And they had wine. It was outside. It was up on a big field, and they had every so many feet. They had a bar set up with different kinds of wine from different places in Greece, and most interesting.
Means you had to make damn sure you touched every town.
Yeah, we had to. We wouldn't want to insult anybody.
Yeah. Anybody
So-
have any problems not insulting to getting a little bit tipsy? Or
Oh, I can remember they were saying, "We'll go down to they're going to put a show on some native songs." And okay, so we headed for the stage. I looked at my watch, and whatever time it was. The next thing I remember, I was standing in quarters aboard ship, fully dressed in my uniform, and the executive officer was asking me a question.
oh,
And suddenly I came to. And it was rather scary, especially afterwards we started talking about it. Nobody could remember who drove the car to the landing to come aboard ship, but that was a once-in-a-lifetime, thank God.
yeah.
We got out of that all right.
Now, when did you report to the bigger ship? You remember we were talking here. I've
Yeah.
got some shows I'd like to. So we've gone through this little bit, if you'd hear.
Yeah.
And this is the repair ship. Remember that?
No, that's the Minesweeper.
Okay, he's going to feed that in and give us a little demonstration of what it's all about.
Well,
What's
the Minesweeper was a wooden hull ship. There was 5 officers and 55 enlisted men aboard. Very small. It was not the smoothest drive in the world, but this was an MSO, Minesweeper Ocean. This was an ocean-going minesweeper. There were smaller ones. There was Minesweeper Coastal, and there was minesweeping boats. The minesweeping boats had a crew of about 8.
Were they up and down bays and inlets?
Yeah,
Okay.
or inland waterways and so forth. But this was the largest one we had. I don't even know if they have these anymore, but the name of this was the Observer. And the other ships in our division were the Salute, the Notable, and the, I can't think of the fourth one.
Oh, okay.
But they were, we used to we went together everywhere.
Okay.
The four
Now, is
of
that
us.
when you were on the Sierra?
No, on the Observer.
Okay, but I was
This was the
trying to
Observer.
tie in your jacket
Yeah.
there.
Well, the Sierra was the destroyer tender that I went to afterwards.
Okay, that's what I wanted to dig into.
Yeah.
I knew there was someone. So tell us about that, if you will. I'm pumping you.
The destroyer tender was such a different ship. That from that little ship to a ship with about 950 men aboard.
Wow.
We had 2 crews. We had a ship's company that operated the ship,
Yeah.
and a repair crew.
You're reporting dry dock, really.
They didn't do, yeah. We would go out and destroyers would come in and anchor alongside of us, tie up alongside of us, and we'd be doing the repairs out at sea. Our repair crew would be doing the repairs.
Way out in the deep.
It could be anywhere,
Okay.
yeah. And sometimes we have emergencies would happen and would have to make provisions to repair a particular ship that was, in dire need. And that was a little bit different, but
Ever have an experience like that where you had you became a life raft for them?
yeah, we did. Really did become a life raft for them, but I can't think of anything specifically offhand. Of course, my mind isn't what it used to be either. I'm not
Don't
21
go
anymore.
there. Don't go. That's one road we don't go down anymore. All right.
So, yeah, we had some.
And try something else, I got a couple more photographs.
Yeah, there's one there with there were 3 of us.
Here you go. I think this is it. The 3 of you guys.
Yes.
The BC grads.
Right. This was on the Sierra, and when we got there, I didn't know these other 2 fellows at all.
Where are you? You're the lower one?
I'm here.
Okay, I'm
And
trying
this
to
is
make it so the people
The
can
one
see
in
it.
the one in the middle is Paul Kelly
Yeah.
and Paul Sullivan. Paul Sullivan came from Dorchester, and
That's my hometown.
he became. I'm trying to think of what organization he took over.
Oh,
He became quite a guy, Paul did. And for the life of me, I can't think of the name of the. It may come to me, but
may get recognition. Somebody may talking about him.
yeah. But Paul, years later, when I got out of the Navy and went to work, I worked with a fellow named Sullivan. It turned out it was Paul's brother,
Oh,
and
name's Sullivan. There's not
yeah,
more than a
and-
million around Dorchester
yes,
anyway.
I know it. Yeah, yeah. So it was myself and Kelly and Sullivan.
But before you'd gone up there, you hadn't recognized any one of them, had you?
No,
Okay.
none of them. Nobody looked familiar to me.
And since then, have you stayed in contact with one another? Or have you kind of died
Not
out?
recently, no. In fact, Paul Sullivan is deceased, I know. Kelly, I lost touch with him completely. Because he was a little older than us. He had been in the Navy and left. And then he decided to go back in.
Okay.
So he went back in, and that's when we
good.
got hooked up with him, But the destroyer tender, that was quite an interesting ship because it was so large compared to what I was used to. And when I was up on the con of that ship, a lot of things were different. Like on the Observer, on the Minesweeper, you know, they'd hit you with a spot problem all of a sudden. You'd be going along and someone would yell out, "Man overboard, starboard side," or something like that. That's whichever side, and you'd turn to that side. And with the minesweeper, you come along, and you'd throw a life ring in, and you'd stay focused on that, so that when you came around rather, you'd know what to go up on, and there it was. You can go up and then slowly drop a line down, drop the boat, lower the life raft. But on the larger ship, you couldn't do that. You couldn't come around that fast. I mean, it'd take forever.
Yeah, doing a sweep.
You lowered the lifeboat first, and sent them out, and then you'd eventually come along
And
to pick them up.
Yeah.
But
Now, that was all underway. You never had to stop and have them come to you, or you could just
right, everything was
hook
underway.
them up and hoist them.
Right.
Okay,
Exactly.
that's
yeah.
tricky.
Oh, it certainly is.
That's
yeah.
damn tricky.
And well, the thing was that if they came alongside, and you were trying to pick them up, you know, your ship was going this way and that, and so was that
Boom,
ship.
boom, boom.
And you'd have to try to keep the distance. You don't want to come in contact with each other. And that was interesting. But it's funny. You know, you don't look at these pictures for such a long time, and
Well, here, I got one or two more, and we just keyed in. Here are two of you guys with a shore patrol in between them. What's the story about that?
Okay, now that's this was on the minesweeper,
Okay.
and
You just
as I
being
say,
buddy-buddy or what?
yeah, I was the operations officer. This other fellow, Harry Meyer, was the engineering officer.
Okay.
He came from Missouri, and the fellow in the middle was named Broadus Bishop.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, Broadus was his first name. He was a third-class boatswain's mate. He came from Richmond, Virginia, but he married a girl from Boston or Brighton, in the Brighton area. And I thought I'd maintain contact with him, but we lost contact. I was out first. Of course, he was a career man, so he was quite a guy, though. He was a third-class boatswain's mate in for a number of years, but unlike a lot of services in the Navy, like a boatswain's mate is kind of a closed rank. There's not that many of them, and yet there's a lot of them. And so, if a fellow takes the test and passes, enough to become a second class, he doesn't become a second class. He stays a third class until there's an opening.
Yeah. You pre-qualify.
Right. So they've got fellows in here that are chiefs, others that have been in for 20 years and don't get beyond second class petty officer.
What, did they louse up somewhere along the line?
No,
or
they're
just the table is too crowded.
Right. There's too many in the field.
Yeah.
And they just can't.
That's kind of a gamble then.
Oh yeah, it is.
And here's the last one. I don't know what you're doing, but it looks like someplace in the Mediterranean, if my guessing is good. It looks like you're doing some kind of a spotting.
Yeah, we're just
Shooting something?
yeah, we were. It looks like it could be one of two things. It could be we were coming in or going out of a port, and I was taking a bearing on a particular landmark, and or it could be that I was just looking for a particular ship or something in the water.
Okay, or you could be going by a special beach and you want to make sure you don't lose anything.
Yeah, yeah, like half the men.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, we had. We've had that happen too, where
Oh, yeah.
we had an occasion where one of the fellows, one of the officers, as a matter of fact, missed the last boat back
Oh,
to the ship. And so we took all his clothes off, stacked them up on the beach, and swam out to the ship. And they brought him a bath. I brought him aboard, but then he had to get in the boat and go back and get his clothes. They put him in the Liberty launch took him back to the beach, got his clothes on, and back again he came. But those things happen not often, but
Not too often, no more than once.
Right, that's for sure.
When you started winding down at the end of your 4 years, where were you stationed and how did you come to finally leave?
I initially, as I told you, my first duty station after picking up the ship was Charleston, South Carolina. That was our home port, and Charleston was nice. We were pretty well accepted by most of the people that lived there. Not by everybody. A lot of the people just didn't like sailors, Navy people around. And
strange.
Because there was a time, when in Norfolk they had signs on the lawn: sailors and dogs keep off.
Oh yeah,
that's true.
Been there, done that.
Yeah. Oh.
Well, when you got through, did you use anything like the GI Bill, something to further your education?
No, I didn't.
I probably
should have. But I never did. I had talked about going to graduate school, maybe even law school, because one of the duties on the Sierra was a legal officer.
Oh.
They sent me to Newport, Rhode Island for 3 months for Naval Justice School. And I completed that, and I became the legal officer on that ship. And we made another Mediterranean cruise. And that was kind of interesting because I used to have to, every time there was a problem where one of the men got put on report or got court-martialed or something. If they got court-martialed, it could be a general court-martial or a special or a summary. Summary being the smallest. That was with one officer.
What was that? What would you be charged with?
Well, it could be
AWOL
or or something like that. Nothing
dangerous.
Nothing dangerous, no. But then as things went along, and like for example, on the Sierra, we had at times some tension between the ship's company and the repair school when they were ashore.
Oh.
On more than one occasion, it'd be
my father's
some altercations and that kind of thing. And depending on any damage done, that'd be some of the guys would be written up. And the problem that I had was that when a charge was brought, I had to review it to make sure everything was done, all the dots in the right places, and all the T's are crossed and so forth. Okay, they'd go ahead and do it. Then when it was completed, I had to review it and try to get them off. And it was almost like the dog chasing the tail.
The prosecutor and the defender.
Exactly. And
no intermediary?
No, not at that point. And then if we're in the Mediterranean, we sent it over to the legal officer in the 6th Fleet, who was probably a 4-striper. He'd review it and send it back to you, whatever his
Okay, to see if something should be prosecuted or just ignored.
Drop this one.
Yeah.
Let that go by and so forth.
Any real serious ones you've ever had?
No, never had anything.
Thank goodness.
Never, no, right. Never had anything real serious.
Okay, now let's take the distaff side, the most important part.
Yeah.
When in all this time did you finally get married or didn't get married, and what's life been like since then?
Yeah, I get married to the girl that I met when I was a freshman at Boston College. I finally get married to her while I was in the Navy, and she came to live with me down in Charleston, and we had a pretty nice life down there. She loved it. She loved it in Charleston, and she became quite friendly with Wanda Meyer, the wife of that engineering officer.
Oh, okay.
That I was on board with, and they they had a friendship that they used to correspond long after we left the service, and then there was we just lost touch with each other, and then finally she said one night, "I'm going to call Wanda and see what's happening," and poor Wanda had been dead for 3 years, as it turned out, so that was kind of sad. But then, of course, my wife passed away on Valentine's Day of '07, which was...
well, now it was another big gap from that to... What did you do in the interim? What did you do for work, and how did you prosper?
When I got out of the service, I went to work in mostly in sales. I sold pharmaceuticals.
You were a drug pusher.
Yes.
In
A legal drug pusher.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I worked for the people that made Maalox, which was a good door opener when I came to a doctor's office. However, then we came out with a new product that was fantastic, but it had a name like Quaalude.
They had a bad reputation.
Was one of the most abused drugs in the market, and it was tough. I had gotten to the point where I made it known I had no samples. I'm not going to accept any samples. I took them physically, took them back to the warehouse myself. At some point in time, I just didn't want them anywhere, and it made it more difficult selling without the sample. But at that point, everybody knew what a Quaalude was. So.
Happy days.
Yeah. It's funny, though, some of the doctors you question, I went into this particular doctor, I won't say where or when or who.
I don't want to be shot.
But I said to him, I've got a new hypnotic. Quaalude is the name of it. What is it? I said, it's a hypnotic. He said, oh, thank God. He says, I was glad it wasn't another sleeping pill. Well, okay.
Okay, yeah.
But that's what it is. Oh, okay. But
how about your kids? What have they been doing? Any of your relatives now in the service or on the cusp could be candidates for service schools?
Yeah, I got two grandsons. I got three grandsons, actually. Two grandsons in college. One is a junior up at St. Michael's, and the other is a freshman at St. Anselm. They're brothers. My daughter, their mother is my daughter Kerry, who's with me today, and my other two grandchildren are from my daughter Ellen, who lives in Chester, New Hampshire, and one of her children, Michael, owns a personal training.
Oh, bodybuilder, if that's a good term?
Well, I don't think that so much as, I guess it would. Yeah, that would be part of it, bodybuilding.
Yeah, good exercising, good eating,
exercising,
good diet.
right, the whole thing.
Leading the good way that we perhaps will never see again
in
our lifetime.
like I used to was.
Yeah, last week.
Yeah.
I just fell off the wagon.
Right, yeah. So.
And what are you currently doing now? Keep out of trouble.
It's easy now. I'm retired and I'm living in a home. I can't even think of the name of it.
Isn't it Pleasant Valley?
Pleasant Valley.
Yeah,
Pleasant Valley nursing home.
That's here in Derry.
Right, yeah. It's nice. We got some nice.
Take good care of you?
They take excellent care of me, yeah.
That's it, boy.
Yeah, they take very good care of me. Everything's good about it. The food is good. Everything. I would rather be home, but
you can't hack it anymore. Really?
Nobody can stand me.
Well, I wasn't going to put it that way. SOB doesn't mean sweet old Bob either.
I know it.
Now, well, wrap it up a little bit, but in what you've seen, what you've done, what you've been through and so forth, would you think that your service experience has been a positive or negative effect on how you lived your life?
I think that my service experience was definitely a positive effect because, among other things, it made me grow up, and it taught me responsibilities that I never would have. I don't think I ever would have gained otherwise. over and above the responsibility of fatherhood. And it was just responsibility in general toward my employer and toward, everybody else that I associated with. But definitely my service, I think, helped me a lot.
That's good. Would you give any kind of a recommendation to some of the kids today in this chaotic world?
Well,
Should they looking to join a service? Any one of them?
Yeah, of course, I'm partial to the Navy. It's really all I know. But I don't think it's harmful. I don't think. On the other hand, people will say, "Well, join the service and make a man out of you." Well, it may, but unless you've got something going to begin with, it's not going to change.
You don't have the tools, you can't build a product.
Right.
That's one of my mother's famous stories. We're from Dorchester, as you may or may not know.
Yeah.
And there's always a little rivalry. Thompson's was across the street, and one of the girls get together and they'd chew somebody all to hell.
Sure.
And one of the women, as you say, Mrs. X's husband, she come down when they go marketing together. Say, well, my Patrick was a self-made man, and Mrs. Thornton was supposed to have said, "Too bad he didn't have better tools." Blew that one right the hell out of the water. Anyway, as they say, I want to thank you for your time, your service.
Thank you,
This
Bob.
has been great. See you soon.
Thank you. Appreciate
That's a wrap, folks. Again, for those of you who may be on the cusp and not quite sure that you want to share your experiences, I only can say this. We're fighting the clock and the calendar. We don't know if we have it tomorrow, so don't keep putting it off, because if you don't tell your story, nobody else will, and we've lost all that history. So again, this is Bob Stevens saying, if you can and will, come and see us. The address is on the back of the program here, and we'll do anything and everything what's legal to make you proud and happy that you did share with us. And one of the guys gave me a selling point, POW as a matter of fact. He said, you know, this is perhaps the best legacy you could leave your family. There's no Hollywood about it. It's the history that was made by the people who made it, and you're one of those people. So if you can, please come and see us. Until then, I wish you good health, stay happy, and please be in touch. Thank you.